Hello, I hope that you are doing great. Today we are going to cover the chapter 4, in which basically we are going to design the navigation bar, the footer, the header and the developer sections in the home page. Basically, in the first two videos we are going to define kind of the navigation bar, and we are going to focus in the first video in the HTML part of the navigation bar, and then in the second video we are going to type the CSS code. In these two videos I'm going to do step by step and each single line of code. For the header and the developer sections I'm going to be faster, and then basically you have to go step by step and do it by yourself. Once that you understand the logic, you have the code in the GitHub account, and then you have to type each single line of code as we have done, as we are going to do in this video with the navigation bar. Okay, then you have to go to the GitHub account and download the folder that is boilerplate. I have done that as in previous video, and now I have it in Visual Studio. Now if I go here to my Visual Studio, here I have the boilerplate in which I have the templates, I have the application.py and the home CSS and the layout CSS files, and those files now are empty. I'm going to start in the layout CSS file by typing the code, and basically here what we are going to do is over the block content I'm going to start to type the navigation bar elements, and basically I'm going to start with creating a section, and inside that section I'm going to create a class that is called section navbar. Okay, inside this section I'm going to create another div with a class of container. Again, just type dot then container, click enter, then you are going to have a class named container, and inside this container I'm going to create another div with a class of navbar, then dot navbar, and click enter. And here inside I'm going to create, the first thing that I'm going to create is an h1 element with a class of logo, and inside I'm going to create an span element with a class of test logo, and I'm going to introduce an icon that I'm going to take this icon from font away, so I'm going to explain this later in this video. Now I just define it. I click the image, and then I want to write here carbon and up. This is basically to define the icon. Okay, below the header, below the head 1, I'm going to introduce a navigation bar that is nav, and right inside the nav I'm going to create an enumerated list UL, and inside the UL I'm going to create 3 links, one for the home, one for the methodology, and another for the carbon app. We have done this several times, then it's going to be easy for you. Is a link h and then here I'm going to introduce a Jinja element that is called URL4, and I'm going to call the function home. You already know that. And basically I close this link, and here this is for home, and I'm going to create another 3 links, this one, then another one is going to be for the methodology. This is in a small letter, methodology. Here is methodology. and we are going to introduce the last one. This is Carbon app. Okay, Carbon app. We save this, and now what we are going to do is to execute this. But before to do that, we have to open a new terminal, and given that we don't have the virtual environment, we have to create it. And basically what we have to do is Python -m virtual environment. This takes some time, you already know this. Now I activate the virtual environment. And I install Flask. Pip install Flask. I clear the screen, and now I type Python application.py, and I open the browser. I go to minimize this, and I go to also minimize this. Basically, this is the layout that we have now is very poor. We only have the basics of our hub, and here we can go to the methodology, we can go to Carbon app, and home. That's all that we have. Basically, now what we are going to do is to start to define the properties of this. But before to do that, we are going to do that in the next video. We have to introduce in the head some elements that we are going to need to define the classes. The first element that we need to introduce is kind of the connection between our layout HTML and the layout CSS file. Okay, and you already know how to do that. Then basically I'm going to take this from the GitHub account in which I have the code for this, and to avoid mistakes I go here to the file in which I have this information. You have this in the GitHub account, and basically I have to go to the CSS code. I'm going to copy this. These are the three elements that I'm going to need, and I'm going to explain you this step by step. I copy these elements, and I introduce these elements in the CSS, in the head of the document. Okay, I need to copy them. I go here and paste it. Okay, go to respect the indentation. Basically what we have done this all these elements so far, except the font awation that I'm going to explain you now. Basically what you have here in the CSS code is basically what we are going to do is to import the CSS class, that the CSS file that we are going to create in the next video. The second thing that we have to do is to introduce a meta tag, in which basically when we introduce media queries, that you have already used this to make this app accessible from mobile phones. The last thing that we are going to use is this font awation. This is something different, and basically what we are doing in font awation, we are taking a CSS class that is coming from an external document, an external resource, and we are going to use that precisely in the icons here. Now I'm going to run this, and you are going to see that it's going to appear an icon right here. I save this information and I refresh this web page, and it's appearing this icon here. Okay, how we introduce these icons in our web page is I go to font awation, that is here, and in font awation you have to start for free. And if you click here, you have to introduce your email, and you are going to receive a kind of CSS file like this one here. Okay, If you don't have that, if you have problems to create this link here, just use the link that is in the GitHub account. With this link you can use these icons. We are going to fix this in the lecture in case that you have problems, okay? And once that you have these links here, you can go to icons, and here you can tap whatever you want. For example, boost. If I go boost, here is all the icons that is with boost. There are some one that are free. If I go here and I click here, basically I have this code here. If I click here and I go, for example, to this icon that I have here, instead of have this icon, I erase this, I paste the bus, and I go now, I save this, and I refresh my web page, I have a boost here instead, okay? This is basically what we are doing, is connecting these CSS classes with our document, but we are going to connect this by using an external link. Okay, this basically concludes the first video, in which basically what we have done is to basically create the structure of our document, is basically the HTML code, and in the head of the document what we have done is introduce the links to CSS files that is located in font awation. And what we are going to do in the next step is basically to define our own CSS classes that is going to affect to modify the navigation bar, and then we are going to have a very nice navigation bar that is also flexible and we can see from the mobile phones. But we are going to do this in the next video.